Okay, well, welcome everybody. We appreciate you giving us some of your time this afternoon on a nice Thursday afternoon here in New Jersey and wherever you may be around the country. And I think there's even a few people outside of the United States. So welcome to all of you, and want to appreciate you for giving us a little bit of your time and coming to learn more about virtual graduations. Apologize if I seem distracted every once in a while, just admitting everybody in. So my name is Mike Perlow. I'm the president and founder of Perlow Productions, and joined today by my cohort in crime, John Cooper, who is here with me to talk a little bit more as well about virtual graduations, what they're about, what you can expect, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, Mike, the reason of this seminar that we're having it right now is because we want to answer everyone's questions. We know this is a very stressful time for a lot of different reasons, and we have been, between talking to different school administrators, parents, teachers, students, we've seen a lot of the same questions come up, and we just want to provide a resource for people to come watch and kind of get all of those questions answered all at the same time. So that is the reason we're here, and really even more the reason we're here is because we want seniors to have the best possible experience that they can possibly have given the circumstances. We're here to provide the virtual graduation advice, not just for ourselves, but for the seniors, so they can have that something instead of absolutely nothing. We know that a lot of them have had their hopes up for a live graduation, and that might still be possible, but we hope that this might provide them with something to have no matter what.
Great, thanks, John. And I should mention, by the way, that all of us here at Perlow Productions, we're very aware that whether you're a high school, a college, a public school, a private school, a faith-based institution, we recognize that every community, every school, every group is different. And we want to make sure we can offer something that's the right fit for hopefully most schools out there, as many schools as possible out there that are interested in exploring options for a virtual graduation. I should mention a little surprise for John and everybody out there. I tried looking to see if I could find anything for my high school graduation. That would require going into deep, dark archives. But I did find, I guess I'm giving away my age, my class of 1992 convocation program from Syracuse University and the Newhouse School of Communications. So I found the program from that, and even the actual Syracuse University 138th commencement from May 10th, 1992. Oh, what a day ago that was. John, it's been a few more years since, I should say a few fewer years since you graduated from high school. So certainly you and I have a little different perspectives.
In fewer years since I was born, Mike.
So why don't we tell everybody a little bit about, why a virtual graduation, John?
So the reason that we kind of started doing this is obviously when COVID-19 hit and we had self-quarantine, we had to pivot as a business. We've obviously been doing video production, and that is the bread and butter of what we do. And we can't do that because we can't be there. We thought that a lot of what we would end up doing is animation, because we've been doing animation, and that's something we can do completely remotely. But kind of what surprised us is that we had the ability to do a lot of remote video recording, whether it be from Zoom meeting recordings, be from instructing people how to use their phones to create their own content that we can then edit. We've actually had a lot of success doing that with people. And when we started to realize that we were able to make actual video content and that can still be helpful to people, we tried to determine what the best way to use those skills and expertise would be to really help people where it actually mattered, not just obviously helping companies market themselves is good, but we tried to look for ways to, do things that really matter to us and made us feel good about what we were doing. So I'll let you take it from there, Mike.
Right, and I should mention, as I've told a few too many people in the last couple of weeks, the words, hey, use your iPhone to shoot the video, are words that were never uttered out of my mouth until about a month and a half ago. So, you change with the times, you get creative, and we do what we can around, the circumstances of things right now. Some people have asked me, whether it's through posts or conversations, do you have kids that are graduating? Do you understand what we're going through? And listen, I have sons who are in 5th and 8th grade, and they're having a tough enough time with it. I can't imagine any parent that has a son or daughter that's supposed to be graduating. I have friends that have high school and college students who are expecting to graduate. And I should mention, by the way, everything we're talking about today is not just for high schools, but for colleges as well, or any school that has some kind of planned graduation ceremony. But the sad reality here is, while I know there are many schools and many towns and cities that are holding out hope to have a graduation, a real graduation, the sad reality is that it's unlikely that's going to happen in the next couple months, no matter where you live. And I know many people have the sense of, well, let's just wait, which I don't think is a bad idea. But I also think part of our feeling is, let's give them something now so they have a reason to celebrate this huge, momentous day and don't have to wait till whenever. And that does not, again, keep you or your school from doing something down the road. We'll get into more of that a little bit later. But again, think of this as, can't do the ideal, here's what we hope is the next best thing. And but most of all, when we talk to people about this, the number one question we get from people is, so what exactly is a virtual graduation? What does that mean? What can our school do? We have different ideas. We don't know if it'll work, if it'll make sense. So that's a big part of what we want to try to answer for everybody today. And speaking of which, as John said earlier, we really hope you will participate in the conversation. So if you have a question or a comment or a thought or a whatever, please send it in the chat. If you want to actually ask the question on video, we're happy to put you up on video. If you just want us to read your question, that's fine as well. And really, the less we talk, the more you ask, the more interesting this gets. So please participate with any thoughts or questions you may have. And one other thing, is that if, as we're talking about something, if maybe you don't understand something, you just have a question you want to ask real quick about something, again, you're not interrupting us. Just chime in with a question or a comment, and we will, as you'll see, we'll address it right away to touch on whatever question you may have. So let's get into it. Again, what is this whole virtual graduation? What's it about? How do we do it? What do you need to do? What's your role? So John, why don't we move into a little bit about that and just tell everybody what the whole process of a virtual graduation is all about.
Yes, so when we do a virtual graduation, what we're going to start with is a conversation with you, your school, your team, in order to determine what your needs are, because every school is different. As we said before, some schools will need one thing or another. Some schools will have a very specific tradition that they do every year that they want to find out if they can do it virtually. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sit down with you and make a list of those things, speakers that you want. If you want any presentations from maybe an outside speaker, if you want any maybe highlights or sports highlights or theater highlights or anything in there that you want to present during the ceremony, we can do that, just putting it into the graduation ceremony itself. We will also need you to provide us with headshots from your yearbook, from each student that's graduating. That way everything's sourced through you and approved. And we'll kind of make that list and determine what we can and can't do.
One thing I want to just jump in just to clarify. So the first thing we'll do when we even just sit down to talk about your virtual graduation is discuss the flow of what your typical graduation would have been in past years, going from A to Z. I've already had that conversation with a few schools. Okay, from the moment it begins till the end, talk me through every step of your graduation. What are the performances? What are the ceremonies? What are the special features? What are any of those things? And then going through that longer list and saying, do we want to try to have all of this in your graduation ceremony? Do we want to have some of it? If you usually have somebody riding on a horse, maybe that's not possible. If you have a musical performance, well, maybe it can't be the whole band, but maybe it's one or two people. So there's different things, but we try to really, our goal ultimately is to create a virtual version of something fairly close to what you typically would do for your graduation ceremony. John?
Yes. And the point of that is, again, as I said, to make sure it is specific to your high school, because that's what's really going to, we don't do generic. We don't want to make just a generic cookie cutter copy and paste presentation that you just put your faces on. We want your students to feel like it is theirs. And so that is what's very important to us. And so we'll explore creative elements to do with you, whether it be processions for the students with pomp and circumstance playing, where they have special pictures that they want to show during that time, or really whatever we can do to make it unique and personalized to the school experience. And Mike, if you want to tell them about a couple ways that we're actually going to pull that off.
Yeah, and actually before we do that, we have a question from Allison. Allison, thanks for chiming in. She asked, what is your timeline? By when do you need everything from us? Their graduation is May 28th. They have a class of 88 graduates. So I would say that obviously the sooner the better. Today's April 23rd. So the more time we have, the better we can make it. I would say if you called me on May 21st and said, Mike, can we do a virtual graduation? That's pretty tight. I would say on average, I'm guessing a couple weeks time at a minimum. But I would say that, if you need this for sometime in May, we'd love to know by the end of April in a perfect world. I would say in general, we don't know as more and more states announce that they're officially not returning to school. Certainly here in New Jersey, that hasn't happened yet. More schools will start exploring this option. So I would say if nothing else, reach out to us. Let's talk. Tell us what you're thinking about. That doesn't mean you have to be committed to doing it. We're happy to brainstorm some ideas, maybe put a potential plan in place. And then when the time comes that you're ready to do it, then we already have some of that work done. I'm very big on preparation. So the more we can get figured out sooner, and then you make your decision, then we're ready to roll with all the different things we need. So thank you for that question. Moshe chimes in with a question. We're happy to host you. He said, in our case, we are 8th grade, and I know I invited our preschool director. Let's see here. Perhaps you can at least touch on what can be possible for other divisions besides 12th grade virtual as well. And they're not till June. So really the same approach we're talking about here can be used with a high school class, a college class, an elementary school class. Really, the age is really not a big factor here. I think the biggest factor in, frankly, time and cost of production is the size of the class. So we, as you'll see on the page on our website, we kind of put a few different tier options based on a class of 500. There are many schools that are far fewer. There are many schools that are far more. So we try to customize beyond that in either direction. But I think with younger kids, there are different things we might do. Obviously, the caps and gowns may not be as much. Maybe it's each kid doing a little presentation. So again, I think we're not looking to create a cookie cutter deliverable for every school. We really want these to be unique in certain ways and similar in certain ways where we represent every student that is in the graduating class. Connie says, do we come out and, sorry, the question rolled down. Do we come out and record you? If we want to have students come and walk across the stage one at a time, we would stagger them coming in and then film the speeches. So I don't want to put a definite yes or no. I would say in general, the goal of our virtual graduations is to capture everything remotely. So whether it's again by your cell phone, and that's actually one of the things. Let me actually get into that here. So a couple different ways that we are capturing video. One is using Zoom capture, similar to this. We bring one person on at a time. We just did that for a nonprofit event the other day. We recorded each presentation. Some were speeches, some were people singing, some were people saying prayers. We edit all those segments together into a great presentation. You can use your mobile device. People can shoot it on their iPhone, their Samsung Droid, a tablet, laptop, desktop. There's also other video capturing software out there that can be really good, similar to a Zoom type of platform. A little piece of extra information, a little tip that I will share with you. As I just mentioned, I have no financial gain in this. There's an app that I heard about again recently called the Teleprompter Premium App. It's Teleprompter Premium App. This guy can thank me for any business he gets. I already downloaded this app, but it's free, by the way. You can essentially type the text of any speech you want into the app, and it will roll on your phone or mobile device just like a teleprompter and also record the video. The video recording part of it used to be a paid feature, and because of these times, they made that a free included feature. I used it for something a couple weeks ago. It was great. And so again, it's the Teleprompter Premium app. Check it out. Good way if you're trying to record anybody speaking on camera that can't memorize something long. So the answer is, would we come to your school? Not ideal, but let's discuss the parameters around that and see what we can figure out. I did have one school say, what if we shot these and you edited them together, that's certainly an option. So we can certainly explore that. Mark asks, how does your offer differ technically from a well-managed Zoom session? What technology is involved? So here's one part I want to be clear on. So a virtual graduation for us, the majority or sometimes all of it is recorded and produced together. So you have a great looking virtual graduation production. The live part of it is that we will stream it live on a day and time that you schedule, where I'm kind of getting ahead of myself with some of these details, but that's good. And basically you can create an event out of it. May 25th at 6 p.m., tune in live as, ABC High School will be streaming our virtual graduation ceremony. The other part that we can add to it, though, that I think is a really cool element is you can have your headmaster, your principal, your dean, whomever you want to come on truly live at the beginning and or the end and say a little something, hey, I want to welcome everybody tonight. I know this isn't what we had hoped for, but in place of a regular graduation, we've put together a virtual ceremony. We hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much, that kind of thing. So it brings a truly live element to it, along with the live presentation. And this would literally be the first time people see the virtual graduation. So
the other thing to add to that, Mike, is that I don't know if you guys have tried playing video over Zoom. It is very difficult. It often stutters. It's not the best platform for it. And so by creating a video ahead of time and then live streaming just that video and then adding on little things, it allows you to be a lot more creative with the ceremony. It allows you to do a lot more things than just switching between the different presenters, the different speakers, popping kids on camera. It allows you to have a lot more creative control of the ceremony itself. And we believe it creates a better product. It creates a better ceremony. We would be happy to talk with you about other options if you're really dedicated to it. But it's just not what we think is the best way to go about it.
Right, and I think from a technical standpoint, I will just say that part of what we're doing beyond virtual graduations is we're doing a lot of remote moderation of presentations like this. We just did one today for an organization in Boston. We did one for Camden County's live town hall last night here in New Jersey. And that's because a lot of people, beyond the very basic Zoom functionality, get overwhelmed when they're trying to do presentations and show different people speaking. And so we are providing that service. So I would say on top of everything else, we also have a team that will be doing the moderation of your actual graduation. So if we have a live speaker, when we're playing the video, when we start the video, it's on screen, the sound is right, all those technical things are right. So on top of getting a great, well-produced graduation production, you're also getting the live stream done professionally with people that have been live streaming events for years. Laura asked, she's with a nonprofit and assumes all this would apply to taking a live fundraiser online. Yes, Laura, as I mentioned, we're actually in discussions with an organization that had their biggest fundraiser of the year planned for June. And I'll share one little cool thing we're talking about is doing a cocktail hour at the beginning of the Zoom event, where literally everybody that's invited to the virtual event will be on screen, on camera, and it's an adult event, so people can have an adult beverage, and everybody can literally talk and mingle and hang out and have fun for a little while. And at first they thought it was a little weird, but when I showed them an example of something I was actually part of a couple weeks ago, they said, wow, that's really cool. It's kind of organized mass chaos, but in a really cool way. So yes, happy to talk to you about your fundraiser online and what we can do there.
Mike, our legal team just called and they said that we should specify we're not encouraging high school students to have a cocktail party before their graduation.
No. This was an adult event.
Clarify that.
Adult event. Yes. So Michelle is chiming in with a question here, and she asks, are there other options other than Zoom that don't give a delay? For example, if the kids were going to sing. So Zoom does not have to give a delay. I'm not sure exactly what you mean there, but no, we could certainly bring on, well, again, like you're not bringing kids together from different homes, but if theoretically you wanted to have, brothers or sisters or siblings sing from one home and do it live, we can certainly do that. I would say that the short answer to all these great questions is yes, we can do pretty much any of these. It's just figuring out the right logistics. What we are trying to avoid, and I think part of the reason why we're suggesting creating something that's pre-produced is it allows a lot less for technical challenges during the live event. When it's put together, we can put nicer graphics to it, we can put music to it, things that you can't do within the Zoom or any other similar kind of platform. And we also, just so you know, we have a what's called the CDN, which is a content delivery network. I'm getting way too technical, but let's just say it puts a lot less stress on Zoom when we're doing larger scale live stream events. And so I hear a lot of problems from people who have streamed things to Facebook or YouTube and it gets shut off halfway through. That doesn't happen with our events because of the infrastructure we have here at Perlow Productions. So that should cover those issues. But again, if you have a platform you prefer and we are comfortable with it, we're certainly happy to talk about that. Aaron says the Teleprompter app looks great. Looks like it's iOS only. I'm pretty sure it's not, but Aaron, if you want to contact me afterwards, I'm happy to suggest a couple others. Alexander is asking, do you have any strategies for making the live stream interactive and or more engaging for the graduates and their families than simply watching a video? John, we'll go to the junior member of our team who is, only graduated from high school, 6-7 years ago?
Honestly, 5 years ago.
The beard makes him look a lot older.
Five. This will be...
So John, maybe speak to that, like some of the ideas. I know you've had some fun ideas you've come up with for other things that we can make to make it more engaging and more interactive, so to speak.
Yeah, to make it more interactive, I mean, obviously you can have a chat going. Like that's just one pretty basic way to have a chat going during it. That's kind of up to you because I don't know if you want your high schoolers having free reign of a public chat, but that is definitely an obvious option. As far as making it interactive in the moment, there's not too much beyond that. I mean, obviously we can bring people on to talk. That's very much possible, but it's going to be hard to do that for everyone. Other ways to make it interactive or to kind of make it interactive beforehand. We can do many different things, many different creative ideas to give students ownership of the ceremony. Some of them are producing content, having the kids submit content for the ceremony. For example, I was talking with an administrator the other day, and we discussed having a contest for the national anthem and the alma mater, and having students submit recordings of them singing, and having the winner get to sing the alma mater for the ceremony. And we'll put that right, and it won't be interactive in the moment, but it's a way to create engagement and to create excitement for that. As we mentioned the procession earlier, you could have students submit pictures or maybe little videos of them to play during the procession, and they get to kind of take ownership of it that way. Is I remember walking by and waving to my parents and looking for them in the crowd is definitely a thing during that procession that stood out to me, and I believe it stands out to a lot of seniors still today. And having them be able to take some creative control over that, even their littlest, tiniest bit, I think will make the event more engaging and more engaging to watch because everyone's going to want to see what their friends submitted.
And John, I was going to save this till towards the end of the presentation, but I figured this is as good a time as any to get people excited that I just want to mention anybody that's thinking about this, I have offered to sing the national anthem for no cost for any high school or college graduation out there. So happy to, not such a good idea. Okay. But seriously, we're having fun with it because honestly, here's the thing. We want you to have fun with your graduation, with your virtual graduation. And we have some more questions coming in, but before we do that, I just want to touch on a couple things that a lot of people ask us about with regards to the virtual graduation and kind of what you do with it. So there are two main options as we see it once we produce your virtual graduation video. We can give you the link and you can share the link as you wish on your school website, on YouTube, anywhere you want to share it at whatever time and date you choose. Or we produce the video and then, as we mentioned before, live stream it to the school website, to the Zoom link, to your social media pages, or anywhere else you might want to. Sometimes we've even created an event page that is all designed just around that particular event. So we could do a class of 2020 graduation day website page where the whole thing could be streamed. and a couple other add-ons I want to make sure we touch on. Here's a really cool thing that I think a lot of people haven't thought about. So how many of us have a video of our high school graduation or college graduation? Probably a very small percentage. Well, think about this. Every graduating senior will get the link to the video, a video file, embed code, anything they want, but we'll have a full video of that virtual graduation ceremony. So when you think about it this way, they're gonna have something that hopefully no other high school or college graduating class has for a very long time, but something unique and will really make them stand out and make this time stand out in a way maybe a little different than they expected. And again, we touched on this early. We really hope that as part of this virtual graduation process, you think about making it a real community event. Promote it, get people talking about it on social media. Yes, I promise you, you'll get some negative comments, but as I've said to some people who have shared some of those with me, listen, I'm not saying this is better than a real graduation, but this is an option we have now because we can't do a real one. So have fun with it. We've even talked about, if you saw the little promo video we did for our virtual graduations, taking that and customizing the second half of it with your particular school's information, the date of the graduation, and other bits of information. We do have another question here from Barry. Barry's the principal of a small school run by a nonprofit agency, wondering what the price range for these is. So Barry, I'll post the link. If you go to the page on our website about high school graduations, virtual graduation ceremonies, there's some pricing. I will tell you that there are three kind of initial tiers, all three based on a class of 500 students. And if memory serves me correctly, I think the base tier is around $3,000, and then the other two are, you would think I would have this information handy when I'm doing a live presentation, but it's the one thing I didn't think about, because honestly, our focus today is to talk more about creative ideas. So yeah, so the basic option is $3,000 based on a class of 500. The second one is $6,000, the third $10,000, all based on a class of 500, and then we have pricing literally per additional student. But that said, if you have a class of 800 or 200, we're going to come up with a customized plan to help you find the best approach to creating your virtual graduation that works for your school, for your ideas, and obviously for your budget within whatever you're doing. So some great questions there. Keep them coming. I love these kinds of questions, whether it's about ideas, concepts. If there's something you've been thinking of doing, even if it's something you're thinking of doing on your own, happy to give you some of our advice on how you can best do that. John, why don't, we already mentioned that we have this demo, and we were having some issues playing it through Zoom, ironically. So rather than play it and have you look at a video that doesn't look very good, we will email a link to everybody at the end of this session that you can watch. It's like a 2-minute demo, just to give you a sense. It's certainly not the length of a full virtual graduation. It's a really cool beginning, celebrating the class of 20 for this one particular school. And then it goes into the principal addressing the class, and then we go to the valedictorian speech, a little bit of her, and then we come back to the principal, who begins to announce each member of the graduating class one by one by each person's name. We put up a photo of the person with some nice graphics with their name, and then we come back to the principal at the end, who congratulates the class of 2020, and we put up a nice little celebratory congratulations graphic at the end. But again, this is a 2-minute version of something that, obviously, depending on the size of your class, will be potentially longer. Stephanie is asking, I already thought of recovering the videos, speeches, photos, and music from our teachers and students and doing the editing myself. Oh, recording. What more do you bring that I can't do alone? Can the virtual ceremony you offer be interactive with the spectators, like receiving comments and emojis? So the answer is yes. I will be honest with you and say, having spoken to a number of people I know well in education, our biggest concern would be the comments and things that might be done by, particularly at the high school level, by teenagers on a live presentation. So I think we need to have a conversation about that, make sure you're comfortable kind of opening up the pool to whatever somebody might say or comment. But there are certainly some ways we can explore. And John, maybe if you want to share a few other ideas you had of ways to make it more fun. And just actually, I will answer her other question really quickly. So in terms of what can we do more than she can editing, I mean, I obviously don't know, Stephanie, your level of editing expertise, but I will tell you, we could do some things with both editing, graphics, animation, etc. As professionals that we think brings value to the production. John, what else have you had on your mind of some of the ideas you've bounced around?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that before I get into the other ideas, it's essentially most people are capable of putting videos and images together in iMovie and making basically a moving slideshow. What we're talking about is much more than that. You'll notice in the demo there's moving animation, there's different transitions, there's a lot of different things going into it, and that's just in a small 2-minute demo. It makes it look more polished, makes it look professional, makes it look like someone who's just getting into it didn't just put together a slideshow. And that might be an option for people. That is totally no cost but your time option. But it probably, unless you are a professional, won't be that same level of polish on the product.
And John, let's mention, by the way, that if you want to do this yourself and put it together yourself, give us a call. We're happy to help you and give you advice and pointers. This is not call us to hire us or nothing. Like, we are happy to help you, tips, even review something you put together. But if that's a model that works and you have somebody that's good enough to do it, more power to you. So don't feel like you can't reach out to us just for some advice and guidance on this.
Yes, of course. Again, our goal is to help the seniors at the end of the day, and that's what's important to us. So of course, we'd be happy to help. And speaking of helping, I just wanted to share some more ideas with you that we've had to kind of make it more engaging, make it more fun. One of those ways is to send a graduation box. To be fair, I didn't come up with this one. It was an idea from another school administrator. But what you can do is put together a little goodie box. You can have a cap and gown in it for the students to dress in during the ceremony. You can have letters from teachers, faculty, anyone that's important that wants to write a letter to students. Have that right in there. You can have a school T-shirt, a school hat. Really, any goodies that you give to your kids normally, you can do that in a graduation in a box format. You can also have students, as I mentioned before, submit content. I mentioned with the song, but it can be a speech. It can be a comedy routine if you want. It can be a dramatic act from a play. Depending on the school, it can be a lot of different things. Those are the things that we would like to include in there as much as possible in order to make it as engaging and fun for the students as possible. As someone asked me, it was Mark, sorry if I pronounced this wrong, but wrong non. And he asked if we could do a live cap tossing. Something we've discussed is that it might be better to have all of the students record a cap tossing, and then we can do a really creative, fun thing. You'll notice in the demo when you watch it, we have this kind of animation of the students the pictures going in and out as we transition. And we can kind of do that with the cap tossing. Mark said he had 100 people in his school, and we could probably do that live. It might be difficult. Might be difficult to get 100 people on the screen at the same time. But there's really not many no's. There's just, yes, we can find a way to do that creatively. There's a better way to do it, but that is definitely an option.
And we have a couple more questions here I want to touch on. Actually, I think it might have been the same Mark. He said, do you implement our brand guidelines, lower third graphics, etc.? And that is a big yes, and that goes with any productions we do. We are very brand aware, and we want to make sure we get your school logo, that we get any of your colors, fonts you use, any of the style guide elements you have that you can give us to use in any of the text, any of the animation, any of the graphics. We are very particular about that. If your colors are blue and white, we're not going to give you green and red. So yes, absolutely yes. And we always ask our clients for that as well when we're working on any project. So thank you for that question, Mark. Jack asked, how do you balance pre-recorded material with live material on the live stream? For example, if someone is giving a live performance, does it have to be a set time or else the pre-recorded material interrupts it? So no. So great question, Jack. So basically, we can use this event as an example, okay? So I'm speaking live to you right now. I could be speaking live and then play a video of an entire virtual graduation ceremony that we've produced. So I would speak, I'd say, okay, Mike Perlow here, great to have the class of 2020. Hope you enjoy this virtual graduation ceremony, and let's let it roll. And from there, we would play the produced video. Now, if you wanted parts of it in the middle of the ceremony, we could do the same thing. We could cut back out from the recorded video to somebody live again, obviously a little bit more back and forth, but totally within our wheelhouse to do something like that. Just requires each person who's coming on live be ready and on camera at wherever they're based, so they can do that. And we would certainly do a dress rehearsal or two of something like that, as we do for any of our live stream events where we have people remotely in different places. But yeah, definitely, there's no reason we couldn't do that. And I think following up on the caps and gowns idea, no reason we couldn't. I don't think we do it live, but while we couldn't have schools capture a little video of every student throwing their cap in the air and doing a cool little montage of every kid throwing their cap in the air, something like that. Rachel is asking, where can we access the demo video that you're referring to? Good question, Rachel. We're going to email a link. I'll also put it up in the chat at the end of the event as well, and it is on our website as well. But I will send that to everybody so you can watch it as soon as we're done. Laura's got two questions. What are the pros, cons of a Zoom-type platform versus streaming? Well, so the Zoom platform does stream, and so it can stream to, it's an upgraded version of Zoom. We actually aren't using it right now, but we use it for many of our events that have hundreds or thousands of people attending. We could have actually used it for this, but this worked fine for this kind of event. So I would say it's, like so many things, it's less about the platform and more about somebody using it that knows what they're doing. I have learned more in the last 3 weeks about streaming and Zoom than I ever knew in my life, because typically our technical guys are the ones handling this part of things, but I've tried to take more of a hands-on role with that part of it, so all of our clients feel like things are really being managed well. Sometimes drives me a little crazy, it can be a little stressful, but at the end of the day, our goal is to take that stress away from you so you can just enjoy your event. And then Laura asked, taking into account some live and pre-recorded, she was asking that, taking into account some live and pre-recorded parts. So again, I think the same answer I said before. We can work with both live and pre-recorded. It just requires some coordination and definitely a dress rehearsal or two a few days before the event.
And I'll add to that, Mike.
Yes.
One of to answer your question a little bit more specifically, Zoom pros of it, everyone's familiar with it. Everyone has it at this point. And it's extremely simple to use. Cons is that it's a lot less customizable. What you're seeing right now, as far as like the overall layout and interface, you don't have much control over. It's Zoom. It's what it is. With broadcast that is more that's on your website that you're using other broadcasting software for, you have a lot more customization over it. And we can do a lot more creative things with it. That's not to say you can't do Zoom, but it allows for less creativity and customization.
John, why don't we just quickly get into, we're running our last 10 minutes or so maybe just talk a little bit about, actually, I know we were gonna touch on two things, actually, kind of things that are being combined with the virtual graduation. I guess I can touch on that real quick. So there are some schools that are saying, we're going to do this, and then whether it's the fall or the winter or a year from now, we're going to do some kind of celebration at that time. So I think that makes families and students feel good. Okay, we're having this cool virtual graduation, but we know at some point down the road, we'll circle back on having some kind of other event, get-together, reunion. I know there are some schools that are doing a drive-by parade through town. Some are premiering their virtual graduation at a drive-in theater. I had one school talk to me about setting it up in the parking lot of their school. I didn't love the idea of having kids in 150 cars, so I'm not sure about that one. But certainly different ideas. John, I know you had a pretty cool one revolving particularly around the athletic part of schools.
Yeah, it's something, and this is a thing that schools have done separately, even before this. But if you've ever seen, anyone's a college sports fan, you've seen the decision videos from premier college athletes where they sit in a room, they have different hats on, and they just put the hat on that they're going to school to play football at or play basketball at. And something that you can do to kind of promote this and the end of your seniors' time at your school is to do that for whatever they're doing next. To have them, if they're going to college, make a video of them putting on a college hat. I know I went to Hofstra University, so I'll rep that and say I put on the Hofstra hat. Some of them are going to the armed forces. They can put on their fatigues if they have them, or a shirt that says Army, whatever the case may be. Some of them are just going straight into the workforce, so they can rep whatever company they're working for, or technical school, whatever it is, whatever your students are going on to. Have them make a video, send it to you, and share it on your social. We could add it to the ceremony. It is really typically part of a ceremony, but if you wanted it, of course, we could put it in there. But definitely, that's just like a tip to put out there to have your students do to have that sort of end of year experience moving on to kind of help them along their way.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. So a couple more comments and questions here. So we have a shout out from, hold on, I want to make sure I say her name right, DJ Steph. And she says she's offering drive-by celebration parties. And she said, as you want to give the seniors the best graduation you can, she feels the same way with their graduation parties. So is this something we could add to the graduation video? Definitely. Like I said, we could add anything. So if you're looking for that part, give DJ Steph a call. She said she has some things on her Facebook page and showing some celebrations on video, celebrating the way they can in the party and integrating that into the graduation video. Certainly no reason we couldn't do that. That could be part of the opening montage to the graduation, be part of the close. It could be something else. We can have one of the presenters reference it. Hey, 2 days ago, we had our virtual graduation party. Here's a 1-minute look at that. So I think those are all great ways to add to a potential virtual graduation. So thank you, DJ Steph. Brian asked what platforms we stream to. So beyond obviously primarily starting here on the Zoom platform, we can stream this to your website through an embed code. So basically just putting an embed link in the back end of your school website on a dedicated page. We can also create a separate website page just for that event. We can stream to Facebook for Facebook Live. We can stream to YouTube. Some of the other social media platforms we're still kind of working through to make sure. Part of it is we want to make sure if we stream to another social media platform that it's strong enough to maintain it and you don't lose the signal. But Facebook and YouTube are two we do regularly, successfully. And by the way, we can stream to all of those at the same time with no issues. So that's good to know as well. I have a question. Is the virtual graduation limited to a certain time, i.e. can it be 1 hour at the most? No, there's no time limit. And let's be honest, if you have a very large class, it'll take more time to get through all the students. So no, really, again, the length of the graduation is based on how many students you're recognizing and then the other ceremonies. If you have a class of 750, but all you're doing is one presentation naming of graduates and you're done, that's going to be shorter than maybe a class of 500 that has 7 different speeches. So really, again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It should be, at the end of the day, the virtual graduation, the version of this that makes best sense for you and for your school and for your students. And as I think John kind of touched on earlier, if you're doing this or you're considering it, talk to your student body, see what they'd like to see, what they would find fun. Don't just assume that you know best. As any adult knows, our perspective and that of teenage kids is quite different. So show them you care about what they think and their opinions and what they'd like to see. Doesn't mean you have to pick them up on every idea, but I would definitely allow them to be part of the process. So John, maybe share a couple more thoughts, and then I'm going to share with folks a way that they can follow up with us to have a further conversation about things.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, my biggest thoughts is that I want everyone, and I know my little brother, he just graduated last year, but luckily he's a freshman in college now at Temple. But if I hadn't been able to, celebrate with him in any way because of the crisis we're going through right now, if I didn't have anything, I would have been upset as just his family member. So I can't imagine how he would have felt if he didn't have anything to give him that sense of closure. And that's the biggest thing we want to provide. And that's why we say, please reach out to us with any questions after this. even if you don't want to use our services, you just want to put it together a little thing by yourself, please reach out to us. We want to help, and that is what we're primarily here for. We don't want anyone graduating from high school or 8th grade or college or whatever without that sense of closure to the end of their school year. We don't want any parents missing out on that moment for their kids. We just want everyone to have the best possible experience given the circumstances.
Great, thanks, John. And so you hopefully can see in the chat now, maybe you see the chat window blinking below. There is a Calendly link that is specifically set up for follow-ups from this session. You can set up a call or preferably a Zoom meeting where we can see you, talk to you, and hear your ideas, get more of your one-on-one questions. We still do have a few minutes for more questions, so if you do have them, feel free to enter them in the chat. But again, just click on the Calendly link. I will also send it in our follow-up email, which is the best way to schedule 30, 60, however much time you want for us to sit and talk more about ideas you're brainstorming. And even if you don't really know what you're doing, this is a great opportunity to bounce some ideas off of us. We'll share some ideas with you. And if you say to us, hey, we like the idea, but we're not deciding until May 10th, then we put a tentative plan in place. Then when you decide on May 10th, we find out whether or not this is something you want, or if you found some way to do a more standard graduation. We have a question. How many schools have we started to work with or have contacted with you? I mean, I'm not going to get into specific numbers, but I'll say we are not working with any school yet on an actual graduation, but we are in various levels of conversation with many. I'll be honest, I think a lot of schools are still wavering on their final decision. And I think that they want to hold out hope. And I think they feel that if they announce formally they're doing a virtual graduation, it announces that they've decided not to do a real graduation. And that's why we said before, I would emphasize to schools, if this is the path you're going down, make it clear to your students, listen, we're not saying you're never going to have anything else, but what we know is that it's not happening anytime soon. So why are we going to let May, June, July go by without any way to honor you? Let's do something cool, different, and virtual that gives us a way to celebrate all of you in your class. And speaking of celebrating all of you, John's going to tell you a little bit about a little special token of thanks we have for anybody that attended today. John?
Yes, we very much appreciate all of you being here today. We're really excited about how many people signed up, and we're just very happy with the turnout. And so we want to, as a token of our thanks, anyone who ends up wanting to create a virtual graduation with us, create a virtual graduation with us, we want to offer them a free animated intro for the graduation. And that animated intro will be made in a way that can be used for the graduation, and we'll give it to you to use for any video content that you guys put out there. You can slap on the front of any video, and we'll just give it a little nice person.
And again, just to clarify what that means is we take your school logo and we bring the whole thing to life through 3D animation. So we create a really dynamic, if you go to the homepage of our Perlow Productions website, you'll see what we've done for our logo. See that cool red swoosh? We bring the whole thing to life, and we'll do something really cool with your school logo that'll make you feel like you're watching network TV. So it's a cool way to brand the graduation video and something that we would usually charge a good amount of money for, and we're doing as a thank you to anybody who attended today. By the way, here is a link. I will also email this to everybody, but here is a link to the demo video. I encourage you to go watch it when we are done with this session. Tony asked, what is the base cost? So as I mentioned before, so there's 3 levels of options we have laid out on our website, and I'll post that link in a second. And those levels are essentially 3 levels of production in terms of kind of think of a good, better, best, all based on a class of 500 students. So the base one is $3,000, and that's basically we do the remote capture of the principal or whoever the lead speaker is doing the main graduation address and the naming of all the graduates. You give us a photo of every graduate, we integrate that into it, and then we work the pomp and circumstance music into the integrated production. So it's a much more basic virtual graduation production. And then the higher level ones include more speeches. We even have one where we create a really cool opening processional, where you give us other kind of more unique photos or candid photos, a couple of each student, and we work them into a really cool processional video at the beginning of the virtual graduation production before any of the speeches. So it's really a fun way to start it off. We thought about using videos as well, which we could do, but it can get a little complicated, and obviously we need to make sure that your school approves of any video content we use that's from a particular student. But that's kind of the typical base cost is around $3,000 for that basic option. So again, you have the link for the demo there. The other piece of information we will share with you is, as I mentioned, there is a page on our website that talks all about the virtual graduations or virtual commencements, and I will post this link. And again, I'll send a follow-up email to everybody, so you'll have all these links in the email, but that final link is to the page all about our virtual graduations. We're coming up on almost 5 o'clock, so I thank you guys for giving us so much of your time today. If you have any final questions, feel free to send them through the chat. You can also follow up with John or myself. John's email is john, Jon, at perlowproductions.com. Mine is Mike at perlowproductions.com. Much like working with us, we try to keep our email addresses easy. So certainly if you have more questions, we are always happy to talk. And John, I don't know, any final thought to share with everybody that's on here today about virtual graduations?
Yes, just one thing I'd like to add. Another thing you can do, if you guys have your own ideas, like similar to what I've been sharing, fun creative ideas, if you want to email me them to share amongst everyone who's here, I would be happy to do so, just to kind of come together, help out as a community. I have absolutely no problem with sharing any ideas that are thrown.
Great. And finally, I just want to wrap up again thanking you. I hope that most of all, we have given you some fun ideas. Hopefully you know and understand a lot more about the concept of a virtual graduation. Know that what we have in mind is not the only way we can do it. I actually love finding different ways to produce similar kinds of productions. So if you come to me and say, hey, Mike, we're thinking of doing this, what do you think? If I think it's not going to work or look good, I'll be honest with you. But if we can make it happen, we're going to do it. Our goal in a perfect world is to not have to come out and do any in-person video shoots. But if there's a way to accomplish it safely and we can do it, who knows where we are a month from now, we're certainly open to having that conversation. What I can assure you is if we're working with you on your virtual graduation, we're going to create something you're going to love. It's going to be fun. We'll hype it up like crazy. We'll help you do that. And it will be a different memory, but it'll be something that all of your graduates will look back on, hopefully fondly, and remember that it was an awful time. It was a time like no other, but we had a really unique way to celebrate our graduation and what we've achieved over the last 4 years. And so, I hope we've given you some of that information. And by the way, I don't know how each school approaches this, but for example, if you are having a conversation with, say, your student class officers to decide about doing this, and they're mixed on whether they even want to do this, we're happy to be part of the conversation. We are not going to sit there and sales pitch them, but we will tell them the good, the bad, the things we can do, the things we can't do. I am not going to try to talk somebody into doing something that they're not into or not excited about, but I will show you, and John will show you some of the different ways that we can make this a happy and memorable experience for all of you. Thank you for all your kind words here on the end of the event. Again, if you want to reach John or myself, Mike at perlowproductions.com, John at perlowproductions.com, and I will email all of you with those links that I shared. Thanks for the thumbs up, Braden, like that. And again, have a great day. For those of you sports fans out there, enjoy the NFL draft tonight. Nice to watch something for a change. And we look forward to hearing from many of you, and thank you for giving us about an hour of your time today. Some of you were on long before 4 o'clock, so thanks again. I hope you found this hour valuable, and we look forward to hearing back from many of you in the days and weeks to come. Best of good health. Have a great night, and thanks again for joining us. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.